Welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. On loan from Yema today is this upcoming Superman Slim CMM20. Now, this is important for probably a surprising reason. This has a micro rotor in-house movement with a 5-year warranty that's taken Yema 2 years to develop. And because of this thinner movement, this in-house movement, they've been able to rework this case, this retro-inspired Superman case, and it's now 1 millimeter thinner than before, which might not sound like a whole lot, but on wrist, that makes a difference. It sits thinner, it sits flatter, it looks more proportional, and it wears more comfortably, especially for a diver with 300 meters of water resistance. Now let's talk more about this movement. I mentioned it's taken Yema 2 years to develop. The design is Swiss. The bridges and main plates are made in Morteau, France, the headquarters of Yema. The other components of the caliber are produced in Switzerland, which is just a short drive away across the border from Morteau, France, into Switzerland. The final assembly of this CMM20 takes place in Morteau at Yema, as is the regulation of the caliber. Now, that's one nice thing about this. It's regulated to an accuracy spec of -3 to +7 seconds per day, which is very similar to chronometer levels of accuracy. That spec is -4 to +6 seconds per day. So it still has the same 10-second range of variance per 24-hour period, but the range is now closer to the positive side as opposed to the running slow side. And that's important because it's a lot easier, it's more convenient to adjust the time on a fast running movement than a slow running movement. So I think that's a good thing. Now this will have 33 joules. It will beat 28,800 times every hour, or 4 hertz. This has a free sprung balance with a full balance bridge for stability and resisting shock. And this has 70 hours of power reserve, which is nearly 3 days of power reserve. The nice thing about this is it is thin, 3.7 millimeters in total height, which is about 25% thinner than an ETA 2824 or an SW200-1. And part of that is just due to the rotor placement. So on a traditional automatic caliber, the rotor is affixed to the outside of the mass of the movement, and that increases the total height. But with the micro rotor, it's built in, smaller inside the caliber, so it's thinner. And it can be an issue with micro rotors to get enough efficiency to wind the spring with a smaller mass, a micro rotor. But Yema has rectified that with this CMM20 by placing a tungsten micro rotor that's brushed and carries a signature. Tungsten is very dense, it's very hefty, it's very weighty, so it allows some great efficiency when it comes to the winding. And all of that 3 days of power reserve is held in one large barrel. Let's talk about the movement. This has coated bridges and plates. I think the look is very distinctive, very attractive. It's a matte finish, kind of similar to what Tudor does with their Kinesi-made movements, but obviously done in a darker tone. Now, another thing that I like about this in-house movement is the fact that it is proportional to the case. Oftentimes we get a sports piece that has a mass-produced movement that's been in production for a long time, and it's a smaller caliber, so it's almost like looking at a porthole when you view the movement within a display case back, but that's not the case here with this Superman Slim. This micro rotor movement that has a 5-year warranty fills the visual space of the case back to a very pleasing and proportional degree, and I think that's a positive thing. Now, this case I mentioned is thinner, by 1 millimeter, but it's also slimmed down a little bit. It's 39 millimeters in case diameter. It has nice finishing, nice polished case edges. I like the look, I like the fit on my 7.25-inch wrist, and I enjoy the seamless integration of this new retro-inspired scale or polygonal style bracelet whose design harkens back to the 1960s. So the end link just goes into this Superman Slim very well. It looks like it's designed for the watch, which is a positive thing. Now the bracelet is very tight. The links are held together with screws, and there's not a lot of wiggle room here. It's well finished, it's entirely brushed, and the look in natural light with the wrist roll is exactly what I like to see as a watch enthusiast. There's a large thread down style crown that's signed, that also has the bezel lock feature. I know not everybody enjoys the bezel lock feature of the Superman, but the fact that it's harkening back to the original Supermans, the retro Supermans, I'm not going to complain about its inclusion. I mentioned the water resistance, but I'll say it again, 300 meters. Now, going back to the case, this has drilled lugs, which I think is a good thing. It's easier to take out the spring bars, swap out this, this scale style bracelet, and put on, say, a Tropic rubber strap or a NATO or a leather strap. I think this watch, especially in black with the sapphire bezel, the sapphire crystal, the lacquered dial, this is very versatile. It's a great look to mix up from time to time with different strap options. Now, going in on the dial on a macro level, you will see a black lacquered dial. It appears to be domed, but that could just be the distortion coming from this box sapphire crystal. I like the printed markers. I like the fact that this has strong symmetry with no date, and then the markers are printed in Superluminova C1 grade A. So it looks white, nice contrast and natural light, but then you go into a dark room or a dark condition and you'll see a very vibrant green glow. The potency is very strong with the lume. One other thing about the dial is you will see Manufacture Français in honor of the movement printed down below the 6 o'clock marker. I think that's great. When it comes to a French brand, you want to see Manufacture Français on the dial as opposed to Swiss made, even though Swiss made, it has a reputation of quality associated with that signature, but I like the Manufacture Français here on the Superman Slim CMM20. Now, this bezel is crafted out of sapphire, so it has that nice gloss look of ceramic, but it has the lovely scratch resistance of sapphire. I think it complements the lacquer dial very nicely. The bezel action is average. I also mentioned this lock system, just so you're aware, if you're unfamiliar with the Superman, you have to unthread the crown to disengage the tension on this L-shaped metallic element, and then you can move the bezel. So really, you're supposed to set your bezel, lock it into position, and then go diving. But most of us that wear dive watches these days, we don't dive. So it doesn't make sense to open the crown to move the bezel to start a timing event because we're not around water. So I get the reasoning for and against it. The crystal is 2 millimeters thick. It's a box shaped. It's double domed in the form. The watch will come in a nice wood presentation box with a microfiber interior, a hidden section for storage of the warranty card, the booklet. Maybe you have extra straps or you take out some links. You can store that down in the hidden section of this wood presentation box. Overall, this watch is a sharp, heritage-inspired diver from Yema. I think it has an intriguing new micro rotor movement. I really think that this one is attractive and comfortable and versatile. Now, areas for improvement, I would like to see a quick adjust clasp. I feel that this clasp, although adequate, is a little bit dated in terms of the design, so a quick adjust clasp would be welcome, as is some anti-reflective treatment on the box-shaped sapphire crystal. I noticed quite a bit of reflections when it comes to filming this and photographing it, especially in natural light. The retail price is $2,495. I'll place the links here in the description of the video, and please reach out with any questions you may have, and I'll do my best to answer those in the comment section. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.